There are moments when reality itself seems to shatter, and today we might be living through one. In early July, NASA's Atlas survey detected something crossing the solar system that defied every known law of celestial mechanics, an interstellar object, now known as 3Y/Atlas. But this wasn't just another rock from deep space. When scientists fed its orbital data into a quantum AI simulation designed to analyze trajectory patterns beyond human computation, the results were so extraordinary that several research teams reportedly froze their analysis before publishing. The simulation didn't just predict its path, it revealed intent. According to the Model 3I/Atlas isn't simply passing through. It's moving as though it's following a deliberate route, one that places it near 4 major planets in perfect sequential alignment. The odds of that happening naturally, less than 0.005%. To put it in perspective, imagine throwing a dart from a moving train and hitting 4 moving targets miles apart, each in perfect order. The AI model concluded that there was no natural explanation with a meaningful probability. The orbit wasn't random nor gravitationally inevitable. It was designed. That conclusion has sent shockwaves through the scientific community because it suggests the one thing most astronomers are trained to avoid: believing that something out there may already be observing us. The discovery was made at the Atlas Observatory in Chile when robotic telescopes detected a faint light traveling over 130,000 miles per hour too fast for the sun's gravity to capture. Early measurements suggest the object is between 6 and 9 miles wide, roughly the size of Manhattan, and is the third confirmed interstellar visitor, after Oumuamua in 2017 and Comet 2Y/Borisov in 2019. But unlike its predecessors, 3I/Atlas isn't just passing by, it's weaving through our solar system like it's following a planned tour. On October 2nd, it passed Mars at a distance of about 18 million miles. In December, it will cross near Earth 167 million miles away before looping by Venus at 60 million miles, then heading toward Jupiter for a close encounter in 2026. No natural body from another star system has ever exhibited a pattern remotely like this. Normally, interstellar objects move in straight trajectories, their paths governed by the unchanging logic of gravity and velocity. Yet, 3I/Atlas appears to be navigating. NASA scientists initially assumed it was coincidence, a statistical outlier. But after the quantum AI completed trillions of simulations and found 0 valid natural explanations, skepticism began to crack. If the trajectory is deliberate, who or what designed it? The last time we faced a similar question was with Oumuamua, the cigar-shaped object that puzzled astrophysicists in 2017 when it accelerated mysteriously as it exited the solar system without displaying a visible tail. Harvard's Avi Loeb proposed that it might have been an artificial probe, possibly a light sail. The idea was dismissed as fringe speculation until now. The discovery of 3I/Atlas has forced even the most conservative voices in astronomy to revisit that hypothesis. What if Oumuamua was just the scout and 3I/Atlas is the main mission? What if humanity's first confirmed interstellar visitor wasn't random at all, but reconnaissance? For centuries, we've searched the skies, wondering if life exists out there. We never asked the more terrifying question: what if life found us first? When the quantum simulation concluded that 3I/Atlas's trajectory couldn't be explained by any natural celestial mechanics, it sent researchers into silent panic. The AI built to analyze trillions of orbital permutations using quantum probability fields had effectively ruled out chaos and coincidence. Every possible gravitational model failed to reproduce the same pattern unless a non-natural variable was introduced intelligent control. This wasn't just a statistical fluke. The model showed a precision comparable to an engineered spacecraft using planetary flybys to conserve energy, a technique known as a gravity assist commonly used in NASA's own missions like Voyager and New Horizons. But how could an icy object from another star system be performing the same maneuver deliberately? The deeper scientists looked, the stranger it became. Its predicted path placed it on the opposite side of the Sun during its closest approach to Earth on December 19th, making observation nearly impossible. Astronomers began debating whether this was a coincidence or a calculated move to hide from direct detection. Even more unsettling was what came next. The object appeared to exhibit variable brightness, not consistent with sunlight, reflecting off dust and ice. Instead, the light pulsed at rhythmic intervals. The James Webb Space Telescope's infrared instruments recorded a subtle thermal modulation, as if something inside the body was generating and releasing heat with near-mechanical regularity. To put it bluntly, 3I/Atlas was acting less like a frozen rock and more like a functioning machine. The object's faint coma, its surrounding haze of gas and dust, should have been random and uniform, but spectral analysis detected irregular emissions, almost controlled in their timing and density. Some of the elements identified were unexpected for typical comets, including traces of materials that hinted at artificial composites. At this stage, NASA remained cautious, labeling the findings anomalous but inconclusive. Yet privately, several astrophysicists admitted that if such readings had come from a known satellite, they would have been interpreted as propulsion or thermal regulation. Still, the scientific establishment faced a dilemma. Announcing that an interstellar probe might be in the solar system could ignite global hysteria and draw political exploitation. So, they chose silence. Instead, new data streams were quietly redirected to classified research teams working under joint space surveillance networks between the US and Europe. Meanwhile, independent astronomers leaked fragments of the data confirming the object's speed, over 130,000 miles per hour, and its refined orbital precision. Some theorized it could be a natural fragment with magnetic irregularities steering it through the solar wind, but even that explanation failed to fit the AI's output. A pattern was repeating, predictable, deliberate, methodical. The same skepticism that once buried Avi Loeb's theory about Oumuamua now began to erode. 3I/Atlas wasn't behaving like a comet. It was performing like an instrument on a mission. A silent visitor tracing a path that makes too much sense for randomness. By late October, the debate around 3I/Atlas had reached a breaking point. In observatories from Hawaii to Chile, scientists whispered about what the data implied, but refused to say it publicly that something moving through our solar system might be aware of us. The European Space Agency quietly fed the latest orbital data into a separate model, cross-referencing it with NASA's AI output. The result matched within 1/1000th of a degree. The odds that two independent simulations would produce identical results by chance were lower than 1 in 10 million. The numbers didn't lie. The flight path was intentional. That was when comparisons to the so-called dark forest hypothesis began to surface, a chilling idea from theoretical cosmology, suggesting the universe is like a silent forest filled with hunters. Every civilization hides, fearing that if it reveals its location, it will be destroyed by something stronger. Humanity, by contrast, has spent over a century broadcasting its existence through radio waves, television, and satellite communication. If the dark forest is real, then 3I/Atlas might not be a random explorer, it might be a response. Some experts speculated that the object's mission could be observational rather than hostile, a kind of cosmic surveyor cataloging technological species. But others raised a more disturbing scenario that it could be part of a containment mechanism. A quarantine probe triggered automatically when our electromagnetic emissions reached a detectable threshold. The eerie part, its current path allows it to pass near all the inner planets where human-made activity is concentrated, as if scanning for signatures of civilization. During its Mars flyby, orbiters recorded faint magnetic disturbances in the upper atmosphere, too minor to confirm a correlation, yet too perfectly timed to ignore. When analysts ran the data backward, the same pattern appeared near Venus, delayed by exactly the travel time between the two planets. It was as though the object were transmitting but not toward us, perhaps to something further out. Those studying its light spectrum noticed the green flash phenomenon, a sudden spike in a narrow wavelength band seen multiple times across different observatories. The pattern repeated every 16 hours and 48 minutes. No known natural comet emits on that schedule. The repetition suggested a rotating signal or internal cycle reminiscent of thermal dissipation systems used in spacecraft. If true, 3I/Atlas might not just be maneuvering, it could be communicating. Yet communicate with whom? No known probe or celestial body in its projected path could receive such signals. Some theorized that the emissions were directed beyond Jupiter to a region of deep space where no human instruments can yet see. As this possibility gained traction, the tone within the scientific community shifted from curiosity to existential dread. Were we being studied, evaluated, or catalogued? And if so, what happens when the evaluation ends? As December approaches, the world's observatories are bracing for a moment unlike any other in modern history. On the 19th, 3I/Atlas will make its closest pass to Earth, 167 million miles away, shielded by the sun's blinding disk. It's the perfect position for invisibility. Ground-based telescopes will be useless for nearly 36 hours, leaving a global blind spot just as the object reaches the inner solar system. The timing, according to the AI models, cannot be coincidence. It's a maneuver one designed to ensure that at its moment of greatest proximity, we cannot look. Scientists from NASA and ESA have formed what they call the Silent Network, a covert data-sharing alliance that bypasses public servers to monitor 3I/Atlas in real time. Their findings have grown increasingly bizarre. Spectral readings show that the object's coma, the thin veil of gas surrounding it, now fluctuates like a coded pulse. Instead of constant evaporation, it releases material in discrete bursts, precisely spaced almost like a transmission written in chemistry. When the data was converted into sound waves, the rhythm resembled a heartbeat, slow, steady, deliberate. At first, researchers dismissed it as noise, but when the same pattern repeated 12 consecutive times, the dismissal stopped. The phenomenon echoes the early confusion around Oumuamua, which accelerated as it left the sun's gravity. Only now the anomaly is repeating on a far grander scale. Some have suggested 3I/Atlas could be an autonomous surveyor, an ancient probe launched long before humanity's first breath, still performing a task defined by intelligence long extinct. Others see it as a warning system, a sentry programmed to awaken when a civilization achieves global communication. Its rhythm could be an alert not for us but for something else, listening beyond the edges of known space. Governments are saying nothing publicly, yet defense networks have quietly reoriented satellites toward its projected trajectory. For the first time, astrophysics, military strategy, and existential philosophy have merged into a single uneasy question. What do you do when the unknown looks back? The European Comet Interceptor mission, originally meant to study a virgin comet, has been fast-tracked in the hope of intercepting 3I/Atlas, but its launch date remains years away. By the time it's ready, the visitor will be gone, leaving behind only data mystery and fear. Meanwhile, private space agencies are attempting to track its faint electromagnetic emissions. Some claim to have detected microbursts in the microwave band that align with the green optical flashes observed months earlier. If confirmed, it would mean the object is producing complex layered signals, too structured for random outgassing, too weak to decode. Philosophers have begun to weigh in, calling this moment the Copernican shock of the 21st century. For centuries, humanity has believed observation to be a one-way act. We look outward into the universe. But what happens when the gaze is returned? Perhaps 3I/Atlas is not a threat, but a mirror, forcing us to confront what it means to be visible in a cosmos that may not welcome witnesses. The truth remains hidden in that narrow gap between data and interpretation, between knowledge and faith. Maybe this is not the beginning of contact, but the revelation that contact has already occurred and that we were too arrogant to recognize it. As the object continues its silent journey toward Jupiter, one thing becomes clear: whether natural or not, 3I/Atlas has changed the way we look at the universe. The fear it inspires is not about aliens or invasion, it's about realization. We are not the observers anymore. We are the observed. And as telescopes across the world prepare for its December passage, a single question hangs over humanity like a shadow across the stars. If 3I/Atlas is watching us, should we dare to watch back?